This is Showtime, a podcast about the people behind the curtain and the stories that shape them. I'm Andrew G, and each week I sit down with creatives, leaders and risk takers from the theatre world and beyond. We talk about what they do, why they do it, and what it really takes to keep showing up. I'm with Vidya Makan again. She's back, but this time in the studio here in Melbourne, and we are going to talk about all things The Lucky Country. With the cast album now out in the world and already nominated for an ARIA award, we are going to dive into the recording process, the impact of recognition, and what's next for this groundbreaking Aussie musical. Vidya Makan, welcome back to Showtime.
Hey Andrew, thank you so much for having me. This is kind of insane.
It's pretty insane. Last time we were chatting, we were in different parts of the country, and we were having a little bit of a chat about this concept of this recording that you've been working really hard on and was news to me. And all of a sudden, here we are. We're talking ARIA Award nomination. That's a little bit exciting. That's a little bit bonkers.
You know what? It just came out of nowhere. I got a text yesterday from Craig, and funnily enough, today that we're recording this interview, we are releasing our music video for I Could Kill Ya. And I got up and I had a text from the guys at Origin, and I'm thinking, oh, there's something wrong with the music video, like the file or something is like not uploading. And then I look and I get this text that says, woohoo, congrats ARIA nom. And I think my heart just like stopped for a second, and I just went white, and I went, sorry, what? And I just, what? And then he sent me a screenshot. You've been nominated for an ARIA award with this album. And I think I spent the whole day crying, talking to the whole team. Everybody's just in shock. Like, we're just a little musical that could, you know, and it's so amazing to get that recognition. It's just kind of, I don't have words for it.
I want to come back to that. And of course, you've got The Lucky Country opening really soon here in Melbourne. You've been working on the cast recording for quite some time. Why was now the right time to do the cast recording of The Lucky Country?
Well, you know, these things actually take some time. Like we had our first season in 2023, and we started working on the cast recording then 2024. So it's been like in the making for around almost 2 years, I'd say, this cast album of ours. Why now? I keep asking with this musical, like I keep saying, it seems like it's more and more urgent, the things that we talk about within the show, and therefore also within the cast recording. So in some ways, I just think like we just wanted to get it out there, and it just seems like now with all the conversations that's happening, it seems more and more urgent and more relevant, and I'm really thrilled that we can offer a piece of a part of that conversation and that dialogue in the form of our cast album.
I'd love to get into the process a little bit. Yeah. What was the atmosphere like on that very first recording session?
Okay, recording a musical is so different to staging one. It's a different genre, I would say. We got to work with the incredible Michael Tan, who is our producer, and the incredible Heidi Maguire, who's our music director, orchestrator, and also co-producer of the album. Andrew, I thought that I knew music, you know, like I actually learned to read music before I learned to read English. But being in that recording studio, like we'd talk about things and then we'd go for different takes. And I just didn't realize like the craft of creating a studio album. What was it like? It was kind of, again, no words. Like we're in this recording studio. We did it piece by piece because then Michael was able to really mix properly, and it meant that every kind of part, whether that be a guitar line or whether that be the alto line for a particular harmony, we could really use Michael's skills as well to mix it properly. And I think that's why we've come out with such a fantastic sounding album, like as a music album itself. You know, it's kind of top quality. And I think I have a lot to thank for with Michael and Heidi.
And did you record the songs in chronological show order, or did you mix it up a bit?
Well, we had to get one person in at a time. So it was kind of all mixed up. We actually started with the band. So that was cool, like putting the music down and me having to be like the scratch track and singing all the different parts. And yeah, I guess we did kind of go chronologically. But then once the different cast would come in, we'd go, okay, like which one do we really need to nut out? So no, then that wouldn't be chronological. It would be like, what's this particular track? How was this particular track, you know, changing so that we can utilize a studio cast recording to bring out certain elements that we might not be able to bring out in the stage, or certain elements that we're able to bring out on the stage. We have to change that because you don't have that visual element. So it was kind of a mishmash of like each part done really well. It was the band done first, then certain cast whenever they were available, because this cast are booked and blessed. They were hard to lock down.
As you were saying, it's a very bitsy process recording music as opposed to putting theatre together, although there are lots of bitsy bits of
But
putting
once you're on the
together.
stage, you're just running, right?
Exactly. When was the point, or was there a point where during the recording process you thought that, this is something special here?
I think there were many elements. The final track called Rise, we actually rewrote for the cast recording, and now that's going to be part of the show that's coming up in this season. So this was its debut. This was the first time we'd ever heard it. For me, it was the first time that I heard that particular song. That particular song is also really, really special. Shanoa Dimal was our cultural, one of my darling friends, but was our cultural collaborator along the show. And this version of Rise actually features her language, Gugu Yalanji, in the ending of it. And when she first listened to it, she actually said this is the first time she's ever heard her language sung that wasn't in a Christian hymn, and singing about country and like that, like what an honor. That's so much bigger than just hearing a song and going, oh, it sounds great. Like the meaning of that is so epic and so huge. I just cried. Like every time I listened to that song, I cried. And I think that's hearing that demo, not even demo, but like that first draft from the album was, that was a moment.
I can feel that now too.
Yeah,
It's still not even listening to it, but reliving it. It's pretty special. Yeah.
It was really special. And I also remember for my mum's birthday every year, we head down to the sunny coast or up to the sunny coast. I don't know how she hustled that. But on the way there, we had a draft version and we all sat in the car and we listened to the whole album together. And that was a real moment too. Like listening to it with my family of this thing that we've created was really, really special.
That sounds incredible. During the process of recording and producing and editing the music, the album, did you find yourself making many changes to the music? This
is really a question for Heidi Maguire. She is the brains behind the studio recording. We'd listen and we'd go, okay, what are your notes? And it was Michael, Sonia, my collaborator, her and I wrote the thing together, Heidi, music, and myself. And so we'd listen and we'd have notes, and I'd have a few and Son would have a few. And then Heidi would have 5 pages of notes. We need to fix the EQ on this, or bring out the flute here, or can we have a different take of the actor singing this particular line, because in the context of a cast recording, we need this thing to work. And you just realize how a cast recording really is an epic version. Often people will say, oh, I like the show, but I prefer the cast recording. And you go, totally. But to put them in the same category is kind of crazy, because sometimes, on one line, I don't know if I'm revealing too many secrets here, but it's a truth. On one phrase, you'll actually have maybe 8 different takes. 8 is a lot, but a few different takes just for one line in order for that to read, because it has to be really hyper. It has to be very condensed to the listener's ear. When you're performing that, you can't possibly do that. We sing the whole thing through live. So yeah, I don't know. It really is such unknown territory for me, and I've learnt a lot. And it really sits on its own as its own piece of art, I think.
How did the cast respond when they first heard that there was an album being made?
It was pretty cool. When they first found out the album was being made, I think they were just super excited that we get to immortalize this thing that we did. But we actually did a photo, a video shoot where we've got some content, we've filmed some music videos, and it was on that shoot earlier this year that I played the whole album for everyone, and kind of everybody sitting down and getting to listen to their parts and going, oh my God, I sound amazing. They sound so amazing. But it was Rise really, when we listened to Rise together, and especially Diagula, Mindy Quanton and Joseph Althouse, our incredible First Nations cast, hearing the story about Shanoa and all of us non-First Nations cast, getting to be a part of that, that was really sacred. That was really special. It was just big and epic, and you don't get to experience things like that all the time with your art. It felt really monumental. I felt very grateful to be a part of that.
You mentioned before, and I completely agree with you, it's a different medium, it's a different art form, a recording to a theatre production. Were there discoveries about the characters that came out from the recording process?
Yes, there were. It was so interesting how we had to up the way that we played things. Like there's a song on the cast album called Footy and Beer. And the premise of this song is it's about these two guys, and the song is very much inspired by Jimmy Barnes, like Working Class Man, like Shannon Noll, What About Me, that Aussie, blokey, rock ballad kind of thing. And the premise of the song is it's these two guys who are on a date, and you start off by feeling like there's something not quite right, and you feel like they're nervous to tell each other that they like each other. But what we realize is they're on this date at the footy, but one of them doesn't like footy and one of them doesn't like beer. And that's the conceit of the song. And so it's a really fun little number. But when we put it in the studio, what we realized is we really had to up that like blokey, Aussie thing and like really stretch that out, because on stage, like, you know, they're doing the whole thing and they've got their footy scarves and they're, you know, it's in the body, but you don't hear any of, like, you have to really control that into the way that vocal performance was. So that was like an interesting example of them doing exactly what they did at the show, which was so successful and beautiful, and going, oh, whoa, okay, we need to really hone down how we shape this for someone who's just listening to these characters.
You've said before that the score is like flipping through an Aussie radio dial. How did you capture that in the cast recording?
Again, so much to do with Hides and the music, so much to do with the instrumentation. And we are so lucky where some of what, you know, we'll use as patch changes within the show, we were able to get authentic instruments in a studio and get to record them. I think it's the genius of Michael and Heidi. For example, actually, like there's a song called Making My Way to Byron Bay, and it is inspired by the Seekers and Georgie Girl, like do-do-do-do-do, that little flute solo. But the song is about a Chinese waiter whose family has been having this restaurant in Broome for many generations, but this young guy just dreams of being a nudist in Byron Bay. That's what the song is about. And so because it's set to this like Georgie Girl, the Seekers kind of vibe, we thought, why don't we bring in a Chinese flute to play that melody? And so what was so cool with the cast recording is like getting to have an actual Chinese flute that we recorded that then like mimics this quintessentially that old school Aussie kind of pop genre. So like mixing and fusing those things. I think like getting to be kind of smart and clever and having some fun with that too was a really cool thing. And that was a way we went about really referencing to these iconic Aussie artists, these iconic Aussie styles, but in our own way, making them fresh and new.
And almost it sounds like somewhat reinventing the soundscape of the show, because you had that time and you were focusing purely on the sound of the show, not the choreography and the blocking and the staging and all of those things, that you were able to take the time, that luxury, to be able to experiment with some of those sounds.
Isn't it? And to really hone in onto the mixing of it. Like, I don't know, maybe it sounds boring, but I was fascinated by it. And the way that we were able to really craft it like a really detailed painting. Everything you hear is so well executed and like it's there for a reason, like certain things being penned. Like, I mean, I'm no sound engineer, but watching Heidi and Michael do that in order to bring out the story. And what was so cool with this was story-based. It's all character-based. It's about painting a world. And so getting to create music with that specificity of musical theatre where you have to make the audience feel place, time, the energy of what's going on. It's not just about creating a sound that sounds cool. Was really interesting in watching the way they did that.
How do you hope people who haven't seen the show connect with the music?
The music is the backbone of the show. And to me, it is what makes the lucky country the lucky country. So I actually think it's the perfect entry point to sit and listen. I think if you're able to like find the time really and you listen to the album, you will fall in love with it because it's just so good. The work everyone's done on it is so good. And it's almost like the musical's like a luxury, like the cherry on top. And plus actually with the musical, there are little bits we've actually left out of the album. And that was interesting making those decisions too of like, how do we create the album as its own thing? And then you come and watch the musical and there'll be bits that you go, oh, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. Especially when we end the piece. Yeah, I think it's a great way in.
Looking into your crystal ball, do you see the album as like a companion to the show, or do you see it taking on hopefully a life of its own?
You know, both. I would hope both, because they're standalone. It stands on its own, but it obviously works hand in hand with the show, and that's why it was written. But you know, these songs as well, like each song itself is a vignette, is its own story, and they kind of can live. They are crafted to work as layers upon layers upon layers until we get to that beautiful finale of Rise. But you know, there's a song there called I Could Kill Ya. And it's a Kylie Minogue-inspired fever dream about all the things that could kill you. We actually just released the music video today, which is hilarious and sexy, and like, how can it be both those things at the same time? But somehow our cast have managed to like pull that off. Yeah, like I think that has a life of its own for sure. I would love to see people like, I don't know, dancing around to this ridiculous vibey song about all of the things in Australia that can kill you, sung by Milo Hartill. Yeah, I think.
Which we're kind of famous for in other parts of the world. Totally. That, you know, we see spiders and that. It's just another spider. It's just another Friday. But some of them are pretty bloody tiny and pretty bloody lethal.
100%. And that's what this song is all about. And we do it through dance music.
Do you mention drop bears?
We don't mention drop bears, no. But we mention like have you heard of the gympie?
No.
Do you know what a gympie is?
No idea.
A gympie is this plant in Queensland. And if you get stung by the gympie, that sting stays with you for months at a time. Yeah. Like we have all this absolutely
insane.
Isn't it?
How
Isn't
are
it?
we all still alive?
100%. Like listen to this. It's almost like a biology report. If anyone's out there.
I'm just looking around the studio wondering what in
Yeah, are we safe in
kill.
here?
Probably not.
Who knows? Yeah, I had to do a lot of research for that actually, and like go like, what are all the things in Australia that can actually kill you? Yeah, we have a lot of fun with that song.
So we talked before about the ARIA nomination. Congratulations. Best Original Soundtrack or Musical Theatre Album of 2025. That's not a small thing.
I've got no words. I'm in shock.
You're still processing it, aren't you?
Yeah, I don't know when I'll be done processing, to be honest, Andrew. Yeah, it's such a wonderful recognition.
And I imagine you don't do it for the accolade. No. But it's recognition, isn't it? And what do you think it means for an Australian musical written by Aussies being recognised by the Australian Recording Industry Association?
A lot of things. It's very layered. On one level, it's like, I'm just an artist who had this idea, worked with some incredible mates and wrote these songs in my bedroom. And now, you know, people are listening to it and it's had such an amazing accolade. On another level, it's like, I truly believe that Australia, I think that we have such an incredible world of artistry. We get to be a part of the oldest continuing culture of storytelling. You know, like we get to be a part of that. That is incredibly special. And I think that we can be a world leader. And then on top of that, you know, with all of the conversation and the dialogue right now that's happening about who we are as Australians, what we are as a nation, there's a lot of divisiveness. There's a lot of rhetoric around that conversation right now. And what the Lucky Country says is it reveals a mirror as to who we are, who we actually are, from minority voices as well, but who we can be. And I feel it's not lost on me that that's what the album says, and that's what has been recognized in what is the highest form of recognition in this industry, in this nation. So it's not lost on me the relevance of that and the importance of that. And at the end of the day, that's why I wrote the show. Like, I wrote the show for many reasons, but the heart of it is to really gift this place something that leans into tough conversations, that talks about who we are, and that shows us a really generous offering of, who we can be. And, you know, in a bunch of our press, we had this one question which we asked our original cast, and that was like, do you think we are lucky? And Joseph Althouse, who plays Boy in our recording, he says, I think we are lucky as Australians, but we are luckiest when we honour each other. And so, you know, I think that's what we do in the Lucky Country. And then for that to be honoured by an ARIA award nomination is, it's kind of full circle, I think.
Do you think nominations like this help shine a light on Australian stories and Australian musical theatre?
Absolutely. I'd like to see more of it. I feel so grateful to be nominated in this incredible category with such incredible artists and pieces of work within that category. But we're actually the only musical theatre cast album that's been nominated. I'd love to see a day where there's 5 musical theatre cast albums and then there's a category for soundtrack too, you know? I think we're at the beginning of something.
What did it mean to you personally, getting that ARIA nomination?
Well, now I'm going to start crying. It meant so much. Like, I've been very fortunate in this career to get to do some amazing things and get to play some amazing roles and get to have my voice heard through my writing. But the mainstream is a place that, it's not a place that I ever really thought I would be seen in. I don't fit into a category. I don't fit into a box. I never have. I have a singing voice that is like, I guess, kind of lyrical and belty, and I can play roles like Eliza in Hamilton, but I walk around the world wearing a baggy shirt and have yellow hair, and you know, I don't fit into those categories of what you see in, I think, mainstream media. And so to have something that like my contribution and my voice be recognized, is like, I think about that little kid who was running around, you know, so wide-eyed with these dreams. Like, it has always been my dream to make music and to change the world in that way. I don't know. I'm kind of overwhelmed. And I'm shocked, but I don't like the word disbelief, because I know also that the work deserves it, you know? It wasn't a shock that, like, I don't want to sound up myself, but it's actually not to do with me. It's to do with all of the collaborators around this work. The work is so good. Like, the album is so good. And so it wasn't a shock that, wait, what? Like, we're that good? Like, that's not what it was. It was like, I think, as you said, to be recognized in that way was just like, oh, wow, we're the misfits. We're the ones that were always told we don't belong. We're actually getting told currently, go back. Like, you don't belong here. But guess what? We were nominated for an ARIA award by our industry's greatest. So that, it's huge. It means a lot.
Looking back now through your journey with the Lucky Country and heading into the Melbourne opening very, very soon, what does this moment mean to you?
I'm just so excited. I'm so excited to share this with Melbourne. When I first graduated from uni, I'm a Brizzy girl. I'm a Queensland girl. I moved to Melbourne for 5 years. Melbourne is the place that I discovered my artistry. It's where I discovered who I am. And it's actually the place that I wrote The Lucky Country. And so it's a place that I met Sonia, my collaborator. And so, getting to bring it to audiences here in Melbourne is beyond special. And also, like, Melbourne audiences are going to go wild for it. Like, it really is written for this city, you know? I'm just excited. And it's also just such a fun time. Like, we talk about all these really complex things, and I've mentioned what Rise means, but we start in a very different place, and we have all these like fun, silly songs where we kind of go to these wacky places and we meet these wild and wacky characters. We have a lot of fun in this show. And I'm really just excited to share that. Everything, the world right now seems really hard, you know? It feels very divisive. It's a very tough place to be in. And I'm very excited to have a contribution to the dialogue that is meaningful and doesn't shy away from the tricky conversations, but is also just a lot of fun. And getting to see people of colour and mob be on a stage, make fun of themselves in a way that is respectful and that honours each other I just can't wait, you know, like, get me in that rehearsal room, get me on stage, let's do this.
I'm with Vidya Makan. We are chatting about The Lucky Country, which opens on the 13th of October at the Lawler Theatre. For tickets and for more info, go to mtc.com.au, and then it's going to Brisbane's Powerhouse, opening as part of the Melt Festival from the 22nd to the 26th of October. And there is an ARIA-nominated original cast recording available now from wherever you stream music. Vidya, thank you so much for coming in. Congratulations on the ARIA nomination. I just love saying that. Congratulations on the ARIA nomination. Chookers for the season, and so great to have you back.
Thank you so much for having me. And please enjoy the album. Enjoy the show.